Hidden beneath the surface of ordinary everyday life is a shadow world, one which acts very similar to the one we're all familiar with. It's a landscape in which billions of pounds changes hands constantly, but exists almost entirely out of sight. We're referring to the so-called black market, an economy not run by bankers but by criminals. It's believed that there are well over 5,000 different organised crime groups operating in the United Kingdom today, and that's a conservative estimate. So it should come as no surprise that Britain is a major player when it comes to organised crime in Europe and the wider world. We first take a look at London. Ask someone to think of organised crime in the English capital, and they'll likely romanticise the days of old. Impeccable tailoring, E-type jags, and gangsters that only kill one another and love their dear old mum. The reality is, in the 21st century, it is really quite different. Each and every year, almost 100 billion of criminal money is laundered in the UK, with the majority of it being cleaned in London. While large sums are dealt with seemingly legitimate shell companies, gangs do their part too. They also concern themselves with a hefty percentage of UK's estimated 11 billion drugs trade. Then, there's not exactly the trifling matter of the enormous black market that exists in people trafficking. It is truly a diverse picture of illegal activity. Somewhat representing the city's demographic makeup, it is mostly foreign gangs that carve up the crime in the capital. Principal among the gangs operating out of London are the Albanian Mafia, who all but control the 5 billion cocaine industry in this country, alongside Bengali machete gangs and Somali street hoods. The Albanians rule East London, factoring the Turkish Cypriot mob, Nigerian fraudsters, Russian hit squads, and gangs of newly arrived Chilean burglars, and it's truly a diverse picture of illegal activity. We now go to Liverpool. Merseyside is no stranger to criminal gangs. It never has been. Yet while it's often the lower end of the scale, the street gangs are the U's that make the news. The more lucrative criminal activity goes on at much higher level. Outside of London, the drugs and illegal firearms trade in Britain is almost exclusively run by a cartel of Liverpudlian traffickers. Despite some well-publicised inter-gang rivalries at street level, the city of Liverpool is a big player on the national and international stage because of its ability to work together. Criminal groups coexist to everyone's benefit and often forge allegiances with gangs in other countries. Criminals in the city have very strong ties to Ireland and Spain. After the big boys have made their deals and imported the drugs and guns, it's up to the kids to shift them. Such active street gangs in Liverpool include the East Side Boys, the Whitney Gang, the Crocs Death Crew, the Delhi Mob, Wave 0420, the Strand Gang, the Fernhill Gang, the Kirkstone Riot Squad, the Laneheads, the Scotty Road Crew, and the Lineker Young Guns. Now Manchester, known to some to the north as Gunchester or Gangchester. Manchester is a city with a rich history of serious gangland activity, and as for crime in the 21st century, the city prefers to keep its outlaw talent homegrown. As with all cities, a not insignificant amount of serious and organised crime is committed by foreign gangs, but in Manchester, the majority of the drug dealing and gun running is carried out by a small number of Mancunian enterprises. Outfits such as the A-Team, the Cheetham Hill Gang, the Gooch Close Gang, the Pepper Hill Mob, the Doddington Crew, scrap it out to gain turf in an ongoing drug war. All groups are thought to be involved in the staging and promotion of illegal raves designed to increase the demand for their products. Over to my hometown Birmingham. The Peaky Blinders may get all the attention, but compared to organised criminals that operate in England's second city now, those razor blade sporting lawbreakers were nothing but oinks. Midlands police believe that some 40 local criminal gangs are involved in turf warfare, which has seen an explosion in street violence in Birmingham over the past few years. Birmingham's organised crime unit were recently forced to double their manpower to help fight a sharp increase in knife and gun crime. the majority of which is being attributed to gangs of young men from the city. The groups of primarily drug-dealing men make up the informal organisations such as the Franklin Killers, the 61 Gang, the 247365, the 23 Drillers, the Burger Bar Boys, and the Johnson Crew. We go to Glasgow, being easily the target urban area in Scotland. It's not surprising that Glasgow is the focal point of crime and gang activity in the country. The city first gained widespread criminal notoriety for its fighting and razor gangs in the 1920s and 30s. Now, however, crime and gang activity is much more organised and serious. In Glasgow, crime is often a family affair. While traditional gangs exist, both domestic and foreign, the bigger criminal enterprises are often blood affairs. Generally known as clans, the two most feared and successful are the Lyons clan and the Daniels clan. The two families are the fiercest of rivals. Primarily, their animosity stems from working in the same industry, but decades for tit-for-tat attacks has soon seen the feuds ramp up. Robberies, assaults, and even murders mean that it's never a wise idea to get between the two warring families. We now go to Belfast. As with a lot of things in Northern Ireland life, it is all but impossible to talk about gang crime without the mentioning of the Catholic-Protestant divide. While arguably less corrosive now than in previous years, it's still a major issue for the city of Belfast, and it's even evident now how criminal gangs operate there. It is believed that more than 75% of the city's criminal activity is drug-related, and the rest is a combination of fraud and other slightly lesser offences. While there's a European presence there, primarily Russian and Eastern European, the majority of gangs are composed of local men. Paramilitary involvement in organised crime is what keeps religious and political lines drawn, and often sees heightened violence and more personal retribution dished out.